Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mostly NBA podcast. This is Michael Higgins.
I'm Jacob Farrell.
And I'm Matt LeVay.
And as we're gearing up to go into the NBA playoffs, it's good to be back here talking about NBA, especially after I feel like a lot of the country's attention was kind of, for good reason on college basketball. But now we're back in the swing of things. To touch on that real quick, the North Carolina Tar Heels bringing home the hardware after losing in heartbreaking fashion last year. They were able to get the job done against the very tough Gonzaga Bulldogs. And it was a good college basketball season. Before we get into the NBA, you guys have any thoughts on how the tournament ended up kind of finishing?
Yeah, Mike, it was just a really great tournament in my opinion. We got two, obviously I think just the two best teams at the end of the day in Gonzaga and North Carolina. Just a really good basketball game, two really well-coached teams. They both played extremely well. Not a great offensive game, really kind of a defensive slugfest, and the referees certainly caused a lot of attention in that game, but overall a great championship, and it was good to see North Carolina finally redeem themselves from a year ago.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. It was definitely a more defensive game than offensive. There was a lot of flopping and falling over, but that's kind of entertaining to watch. I wish it was a little more offensively focused, though. That would have made for a better game as a product. But as it stands, UNC winning is awesome. Good to see a nice little comeback story there from last year. It was also cool seeing the Gators get pretty far to the Elite Eight. That was very fun to watch, especially that game against Wisconsin. All very fun.
I did want to get, what was you guys' reaction when Chiozza hit that buzzer beater? What did you guys do at that very moment?
I was actually, this is funny. I was actually in a hotel in Jamaica, so I was streaming the game online, and I don't think anybody else on the island really was a Gators fan or had any reason to watch the game other than being a college basketball fan. So right as Chiozza hit the buzzer, I just ran out of the hotel room and just started running down the hallway, just yelling, "Go Gators!" I got a lot of confused looks, but I don't regret it because it was a great feeling.
Yeah, I also have a funny story on that. My roommate and I had been streaming the game because we didn't get the channel. We have like this bad cable lineup, which we don't get that many channels. So we didn't get the channel, so we were streaming it online, and the stream had been just perfect the entire game. And I'll tell you the exact second the stream cut out. It was when the Gators inbounded the ball with 3 seconds left. So had the stream worked for another 3 seconds, we would have seen it. So we thought the game was over. Nigel Hayes hits 2 free throws. It's a 2-point Wisconsin lead, and we have like no time left. And the stream cut out. I tried to reload it. It didn't work. So just to make sure the game had gone final, I just searched Florida, Wisconsin on Google, and usually the score comes up right away, just expecting to see the same score except the final under it. And I was really confused when I saw that it had the Gators, the arrow pointing to the Gators, and I just freaked out because like my roommate was already walking back to his room, so I was just like chasing him down the hallway, like screaming, "Somebody hit a 3!" And then obviously like within 30 seconds, it was all over Twitter. So we knew what had happened. We just like missed the actual thing. I mean, we were still as excited as if we would have seen it happen because like we out of nowhere just found out that we won. But it was funny, kind of sad, but we were just happy that we got the win, got to go to the Elite Eight. Yeah, so just overall a really cool season in college basketball. For all the upsets that happened towards the end of the tournament, I think it was funny that we just got a 1 versus a 1 in the championship with arguably the best team in the nation. Well, obviously now, you can say they're the best team in the nation, but arguably the best number 1 seed, North Carolina, winning the entire thing. So, yeah, good defensive game against Gonzaga. I think it was a very sloppy offensive game, but there's a lot of grit towards the end of that game that was shown by both teams, but the better team definitely came out on top. All right, so at the time of this podcast recording, we have about a week and a half until the NBA playoffs begin. I think that's next Saturday. I think the 15th is when it starts. So we're about a week away from the start of the NBA playoffs, and a lot is still up in the air. Usually at this point in the season, you've got a lot of the seeds kind of all but locked in with some competition for like the final couple seeds. But you look at the Eastern Conference, and the top 4 teams are have separated themselves completely from the bottom remaining 6 teams that are in the hunt for the last 4 spots. So, you have the Cavs, the Celtics, the Raptors, and the Wizards on top of the Eastern Conference. And then sort of at the bottom of that conference, you've got about 5 to 6 realistic possibilities for those last 4 seeds that are all kind of taking turns going on streaks and, both winning and losing. And those seeds have been shuffling around a lot. So right now, you look at a team like Milwaukee. They are the number 5 seed in the East, only 2 games above the 500 mark. But they're also only 2 games above the number 8 seed Pacers. So, you get the Bucks a couple of bad nights, and they might find themselves, out of the playoff race. So it's really interesting in the East right now because you've got, let's see, what did I say? 7 teams actually that can potentially still make the playoffs, gunning for these 4 spots that they're all so close, nothing is decided yet. And I think it's going to come down probably to the last game or 2 games. So looking at the bottom of the East, guys, you've got, you've got Milwaukee, Atlanta, Chicago, Indiana, Miami, and then Charlotte's a little farther out. Charlotte and Detroit are a little farther out. But what do you guys see that shaping up as? Because right now it's kind of just like it's a cluster of confusion. So yeah, how do you guys? Who do you think is going to show that they belong in the playoffs, and who do you think fades down the stretch?
Well, I think, like you said, there's just a lot of confusion. I think all those teams that you mentioned they kind of have equal opportunities, each of themselves to make it. It's kind of a weird situation, but that's always kind of been the East. How it's just a lot of teams that have what it takes, but don't necessarily show it at all times. And with the year winding down and only a couple games left, I think it's going to be down to individual players to show that they want it and put their teams over that edge. So with that being said, I feel like Atlanta is probably going to edge out and make it in there. Miami as well. But as for the others, it's kind of hard to say. I think maybe Detroit, maybe. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just kind of chaotic.
I really like that point, actually, that you made, Jacob, as far as this is the time of the year where your stars show out. And so actually right now as it stands, I'm going to say it's going to stay where it is right now with Milwaukee, Atlanta, Chicago, and Indiana, just edging it out for those last 4 spots just because of the superstar power. Look, on Indiana, you still have Paul George. Chicago, you got Jimmy Butler. Atlanta, you got multiple playmakers on that team. And obviously, Antetokounmpo with Milwaukee. I just, as a Heat fan, I really hope they make it. But just realistically, they still don't have that star. Dragic has played extremely well. Waiters has played unbelievable, but obviously they've been without him for the last couple of weeks. So that's just looking at it right now. I don't see it changing, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I could see that happening, but I don't know, something about the Heat. I think I'm still shocked by what a run they went on to even get back into the picture. So I still think it's a possibility for them to sneak into one of those last spots. I do think the Bucks are in. I think the Hawks are in. The Bulls, Pacers, and Heat, I think, are the 3 teams that are gunning for the last 2 spots. I don't see the Hornets or Pistons. I think they've dug themselves too deep a hole and to get out of in about a week. So I think, yeah, the Bulls, the Pacers, the Heat are going to have to fight it out for the last 2 spots. And I want to say the Pacers and the Heat are going to take the 2 spots. I know I don't have too much faith in Chicago, and I haven't this whole year. And I've been really high on the Pacers, and they haven't really done anything to prove me right. But I'm going to echo what both you said about star power only in the case of Indiana. I think the Bulls do have a star in Jimmy Butler, but I think outside of that, they are just an incomplete team. I think the Pacers have better role players around Paul George. I think Miles Turner and Jeff Teague, Jeff Teague has playoff experience. Miles Turner is becoming a young stud in the NBA. I think that's going to be enough to get them over the top, at least in the next week, in the very short term. So I think, yeah, the Pacers gut it out. I think the Heat make a run. And I don't think the Bulls, just roll over, but I think it's going to be very close. That being said, it doesn't really matter because I don't think either of them is going to survive a first-round matchup with Boston and Cleveland.
I just remember, can I say something? I have the Pacers in there for sure. Now I forgot Lance Stevenson is back.
And
He's back in action, and he's already doing stupid stuff.
Controversy.
But, it's great to watch. I don't know why I like Lance Stevenson. He's just funny.
Because he's a meme.
He's a meme, yeah. But no, I think the Pacers are in because what you said is actually really true. Paul George is a superstar. There's no doubt about that. Like, he's shown what he can do, especially in that game they just played with the Cavs when it's a double OT. That was an awesome game.
That was crazy.
That was an awesome game.
Him and LeBron just dueling it out. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's cool. We're looking at, actually, as we speak, we are streaming the Cavs-Celtics game, and that has become somewhat of a surprise. I mean, the Cavs have played very poor basketball in the last month or so. They're starting to pick it up as of late, winning 3 in a row at the time of this recording, and currently have a double-digit lead over Boston heading into the half. So I don't know why this happens every year with the Cavs. They can never seem to have a totally smooth regular season. Not really worried. Most Cavs fans aren't really worried. Most NBA fans just know that once they get into the playoffs, it's just a different thing. Like, who knows if they're coasting right now? They're definitely actually struggling on defense, but I don't know. The playoffs just seems to always obviously bring out the best in LeBron James. It's brought out the best in the Cavs the past few years. So, yeah, not too concerned there, but it's kind of weird how they've had such a stretched out lapse in their on the defensive side of the court. Like I said, picking it up as of late, I think they've realized how much they've been screwing around and not really getting their heads in the game. So hopefully, they're gearing up for that playoff run. They certainly have the experience. Yeah, I would expect nothing less. But Boston, up there at the top of the East with the Cavs, they have been pretty much the entire year. For the last month, they've been kind of teeter-tottering back and forth between the 1 and 2 seeds. They did finally overtake the Cavs several times. So they very realistically could snatch that number 1 seed heading into the playoffs. They're a legitimate threat in the East, and that's something the Cavs haven't really had in a few years. Even when Atlanta was really good that first year the Cavs had LeBron James back, Atlanta was never seemed like they could truly be a threat to a LeBron James-led team in a 7-game series, and obviously the Cavs swept them that year. So yeah, I think the Celtics are the first real challenger that Cleveland has had, and it could make for a very interesting Eastern Conference playoff picture. As for the Western Conference, everything that is laid out so far has been a lot simpler. It's a lot easier to look at and just take at face value because there's not too much changing in the West. The Warriors have been on a tear lately. They're ready to get Kevin Durant back and solidified themselves again as the premier team in the league headed into the playoffs. The Spurs are right behind the Warriors as usual, hanging within 4 games or so. It's too late in the season for them to, I think, overtake Golden State, especially the way that Golden State is playing. But the Spurs, I think this is the first time in their franchise history they've had 3 straight 60-win seasons, which is kind of crazy to think about given, their success over the past 15 years or so. But yeah, the Spurs, again, a solid team, a true title contender. And I think that the West actually has a 3rd title contender in the Houston Rockets. They have shown throughout the season that this isn't a team that's on, a hot streak that's going to fade into the distance. They've been one of the NBA's best 5 teams. They've been better than Cleveland, certainly better than Boston. So yeah, I think the top 3 teams in the West are the top 3 teams in the NBA. I think on any given night the Rockets can beat any team. So I'm really high on them right now. I'm in the minority. I think James Harden should be. I think James Harden is the MVP.
I think so too.
Oh, that's
James
good to
Harden.
hear.
James Harden is like the alt Russell Westbrook, because he's kind of like everybody sleeps on him. Nobody talks about. Well, people talk about him, but nobody talks about him like people talk about Russell Westbrook.
And he's so good.
And he's so damn good. It's really a shame how underappreciated his. Because last seasons prior, he wasn't as fully rounded as a player as he is now. But to see him become.
That is true. That is true. I'm sorry. I didn't let you finish the sentence. Fully rounded. Because 2 years ago when it was down to him and Curry for the MVP, the first year that Curry won it could have gone either way then too. And actually Westbrook got himself into that conversation, I remember. But yeah, Harden, that offense wasn't as complimentary to his game. I think him switching over to point guard under this D'Antoni offense with different players around him, not going to mention how Dwight Howard is no longer there, but I think it has really allowed Harden to reach his max potential, and he has absolutely been amazing. I mean, I mean, how many triple doubles does he have? He's definitely behind Westbrook because Westbrook has, he's just got the stats going every night.
I think like 20 something.
Yeah, and not to it's not a knock on Westbrook. He has been absolutely incredible. It's one of the best seasons I've ever seen anybody have. But I also think that he doesn't have much there, so he has a huge opportunity he pretty much has the green light to run that team every single minute that he's on the floor. I mean, they're trying to, they're the 6th seed right now in the West. They did clinch a playoff berth. That was his mission. His mission was to get this team without Durant, coming off a huge loss back into the playoff picture, which he did, but he did it by putting that team totally on his back. I mean, he scores or assists on like all of their points. So I think it's more so necessary for Westbrook to be doing all that. I think Harden has truly made his team all around so much better in a smoother sense. It seems like he needs to do it less, but he just has these fantastic games, and he has his team at one of the elite teams in the NBA. There's no good way to say that Westbrook shouldn't win the MVP, but I think just looking at their seasons, looking at how their teams have done, and what kind of role they play on their team, I think James Harden has been the MVP.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I would have to go with that same opinion, Mike. James Harden, I think, should end up being the MVP, and I've heard a lot of good discussion about this lately, and some really good points have been brought up. If you look at the statistics, I mean, Westbrook is only averaging 3 points more than Harden, but on the flip side, Harden's percentage shooting-wise is essentially way better than Westbrook's at the moment. As you guys know, obviously Westbrook shoots the ball so much, and he's had a lower field goal percentage this year. And when you look at the assists, though, Harden is actually leading him, in average by a point in assists right now, currently on the year, and he's also assisting at a greater rate. As well, when you look at rebounds, too, in all reality, James Harden has 8 rebounds. Russell Westbrook's averaging 10.7, essentially only 2 rebounds more. And like you just said, Mike, they both have obviously played extremely, extremely good roles for their teams. They've been huge playmakers on both sides of the ball. But I think you could obviously argue that, Harden has been the most efficient player for his team out of those two. And I think people are just getting so caught up in the status of it being a triple-double. Just because we haven't seen that specific stat line in forever, I think people are kind of sucking that triple-double juice, which certainly the media has played a big factor of that. And I just think people have gotten so caught up in literally just the triple-double awe, when in all reality, if you crack down the numbers, it's really not that big of a deal compared to where Harden is at right now.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that too, the whole conflation of like the prestige of the triple-double. Obviously, it's a feat, and to get the numbers that Westbrook is pulling is a feat. Like, nobody's denying that. But since he's done that, the triple-double has become, like, you see it a lot more often now. Like, everybody, how many triple-doubles did he get? How many triple-doubles did he get? It's like, congratulate this player on a career-high amount of triple-doubles this season. It's just like another stat. Well, while it is, like, obviously it's difficult to get a triple-double, but it's not representative of, like, top-tier players. You can be a top-tier player and not get triple-doubles every night. Like, LeBron James does not get triple-doubles every night, and he's a top-tier player. Stephen Curry doesn't get triple-doubles every night, but he's an incredible player. And all this is not to take away from Russell Westbrook. Like, I'm not saying he shouldn't win. I think he should win the MVP. He definitely has the popular vote, but the whole triple-double thing is kind of blown out of proportion recently.
I think coming off what you said, I think that saying, there are top-tier players who don't get triple-doubles, that is true, but I think having these triple-doubles in the amount that Westbrook and Harden have been getting them does show how good they are. I think that is indicative of how well-rounded they are. But I will say, after that, I think you guys are both right. I think, the number of triple-doubles that Westbrook has had has just led to, like, sort of this popular opinion that he is that much better than everybody because it's like he's the only one doing this. But I think you have to look at, he's doing this because he has to. I mean, he is...
Yeah, who else on the Warriors or who else on the Thunder is going to put up those types of numbers?
He is...
Who else is going to give that many assists? Who else is going to play as well as Westbrook does?
He is their playmaker. Not necessarily. I'm not saying he needs to do that for them to win, but based on how often the ball is in his hands, when he's the guy that the whole offense is running through all the time, he's gonna have huge numbers because he's trying not single-handedly to win the game, but he's making he's putting his team in a position every time they are on offense to win a game because the offense flows through him. I mean, he's always active. Matt, you said he takes so many shots. I mean, it's just there's not much more to say about it. I mean,
also, I think it's important to say we're not like trashing the Thunder here by saying like he's the only good player on the team.
no, I mean
He's not, but he's the only superstar player on the team.
I mean, I think it's pretty apparent the Thunder are not the team that the Rockets are, and I think
the Thunder are a good team, but they're not a playoff contender team.
yeah, and because of that, it just like strengthens my point. I think that Westbrook has to do more to make sure his team is winning and is being successful. So yeah, the triple doubles have been great, but they've also been like necessary.
I don't think Westbrook needs to do more. I think he's done enough. Like I think he already does.
No, I don't mean more than what he's doing now. I mean more than the average star, because he's the lone star on that team.
Yeah, he's been
on a team that
doing
is not
more
as
than the average star.
on a team that without him would not be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the LeBron-led Cavaliers, up until 2010.
Or the Tracy McGrady-led Magic.
Hall of Fame, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Shout out T-Mac, favorite Magic player. Actually, it might be Penny, but
I thought it was Howard.
oh
No, Ray for Alston.
yo, Ray for Alston is the truth though.
Anyway, I think that I've pretty much, I've said as much as I can here. I've been rambling a lot, but like for Westbrook, I think it's more of a case of these are things that he needs to do to make sure his team is in a spot to even go to the playoffs. Whereas Harden, they're a better team. He's doing it, I think, more loosely. I think it's a little less stressful because like the Rockets are just, they've already proven themselves as one of the best teams in the NBA. So I don't know. I see both sides of the argument. You can't say that Westbrook can't be the MVP. Like you can't say that is a wrong MVP. If he wins it, he's absolutely deserving. He's had one of the best seasons like ever. But yeah, the last thing I'm going to touch up on in the West is the battle for that last seed. Before the show, Matt mentioned that the first 7 seeds in the West are already clinched down through Memphis. So it's pretty much the Trailblazers and the Nuggets for that 8th seed. Only a half game separates them right now. Both have been playing exciting basketball as of late. The Trailblazers had been playing really, really well until they had Yusuf Nurkic go down like a week ago, and that's been a big blow for them, the former Nuggets center. The Nuggets, obviously, we've seen all year. They're an explosive offensive team when they get going. They still haven't quite figured it out, but a young team out there that, in my opinion, is going to take that 8th seed, and I think they're going to show people how exciting they can be while getting thrashed by the Warriors in the first round. But yeah.
On this edition of the Orlando Magic are the worst run basketball organization in America, recent insights into their summer plans have leaked online due to an unfortunate board placement and a photo of from a new player's Instagram. I believe, right? His Instagram?
Yeah, the Magic signed a guy to a 10-day contract, and his agent took a picture of him and posted it on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Little did they know. Well, maybe they did know. Hot take conspiracy.
Hot take. It's been a while since one of those.
There was a board in the background that had basically what is assumed to be our summer plans and our trade and negotiation plans. A lot of it didn't really make a lot of sense. The most egregious thing that we've seen on that board, I can't believe they haven't come out with a statement on this. But I don't know. They're probably not. They did?
Yeah. What's the GM's name? Hennigan?
Rob Hennigan.
He came out and said like those aren't indicative of our actual plans. That was just like us like kind of getting some ideas together.
Rob Hennigan, that's not even an idea. You need to get together. So they had Dario Saric on the board with in parentheses AG ? Which can is obviously Aaron Gordon. That's stupid. Rob Hennigan, you need to get out. We need to fire Rob Hennigan. I don't know what is going on.
The Magic are just...
I don't know if he wants to go into another rebuild.
They've been on a rebuild for like 6 years.
That's so unnecessary. Oh my God. He's not even like any part of the problem. Aaron Gordon. Like what of all players, Aaron Gordon to trade off the Magic.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to get rid of him, just getting rid of their 2 most talented, like Oladipo and Gordon in back-to-back years, it'd be pretty crazy.
It's so it defies logic. I have like
Earth is flat.
If that's any, they're on some Kyrie Irving logic. If it's any like indication of what the summer is actually going to be like, I'm not looking forward to it.
But
what?
Also on that whiteboard, if you want an indication of what the summer is going to be like, it looks like you're getting your whole team back together.
Ursan, Serge is coming back.
Harkless, yeah, he put Ibaka on there. I'm surprised Oladipo wasn't on there.
Might as well get Ray Ferguson back too, while we're at it.
Yeah, just bring back Rashard Lewis.
Ooh, the beard, yeah. He had a goatee.
Bring back a Donald Foyle. Okay, we're getting. Okay, I'm gonna throw it to a break here. Stick around when we come back. We're gonna get into a few other sports that are just getting going. Back here with the Mostly NBA podcast, I wanted to get into a little bit of baseball before moving on here. Opening day just happened. We're currently in the midst of opening week. Really exciting to see everybody back out there, all the teams competing every night. Definitely something to look forward to every night throughout the season. Very long season, but it just means that summer's starting. So good to have baseball back. We'll certainly be getting into that a little bit more as the season goes along, at least as long as we're recording this show before summer. So yeah, it's just nice to have it back. Really excited as an Indians fan to see how the AL Central plays out, and obviously we're a long way from the playoffs, but it's just nice to have baseball back. So I just want to throw that in there. Definitely something we'll be keeping tabs on as the division races start to actually take shape towards the end of the month as we get into early summer. But I would like to now throw it over to Jake and Matt, who are going to talk golf with the Masters coming up.
Yeah, Mike, we got a tradition unlike any other, as many would say, coming up here in the next few days. One of my favorite times of the year. I love the Masters. Love getting to see golf's biggest stars on golf's biggest stage. Just looking forward to it. And as we're speaking right now, just a developing story with the number one ranked golfer in the world, Dustin Johnson, apparently hurt his knee coming down some stairs on the Wednesday right before the Masters begin on Thursday. So, certainly keep a close eye on that and how that maybe plays out, maybe affects his game coming up in the next few days. But certainly some people to look out for. Rory has never won a green jacket. That's certainly been the talk, of his career and his legacy kind of right now of where it's headed is, can Rory finally get over that hump and get a green jacket? So that'll be something to look out for. And I'm really interested to see, too, just how Jason Day plays. Obviously, his mother has gone through some very difficult things right now health-wise. Just had a big, surgery on her lungs, which caused Jason Day to drop out of a tournament a few weeks ago. And it's, obviously extremely heavy on his heart. And I'm really just interested to see, how he, comes out going through this hard time and how he battles this adversity. And of course, Jordan Spieth, that big, kind of disaster on the last day at the Masters last year, blowing that 4-shot lead. I've just, one of the saddest moments for me personally, just looking at a collapse like that. It was really tough to watch just on him. He's a really great guy, and I just hope he can respond. Hopefully that doesn't haunt him. Hopefully maybe he can get back up there and on Sunday have a shot to take it.
I think everybody should be excited, though, because with the way sports have been going recently, there's definitely going to be some sort of big finish to the Masters, as big as a finish golf can have. But I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see. There's definitely a lot of great contenders, like Matt said, each with their own, adversities to overcome. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Do you have a favorite heading into the weekend, or who, at least if you don't have a favorite right now, because that's tough to say. There's so many good golfers at the moment. But do you have a personal favorite, or who are you gonna be rooting for this weekend?
I've always liked Rory, so I'm gonna say McIlroy. And with that, everybody, we're going to conclude this episode of the Mostly NBA podcast. It's been fun being back. I know I've been gone for a couple episodes I've been missing, but it's definitely fun to get back into it and get back to talking sports with you guys. We'll be back later on, closer to NBA playoffs time, with some updates and goings-ons in the NBA. But until then, this has been Jacob Farrell, Michael Higgins, and Matt LeVay with the Mostly NBA podcast.